the Bible. I highlight what's important. I highlight the whole thing. It really is a good book. There's more truth in here than in a phone book. I think all of it is true, except the part that says God exists. He loves that great old book. It's even funnier than a Far Side cartoon. I love religion. It gives stupid people something to do that isn't scratching lottery tickets. And when you think about it, scratching a lottery ticket, hoping you win, read the Bible, hoping you go to heaven, same thing. I love religion. Whenever I walk into a church, all I ever tend to think is, wow, what a great apartment this would make. In case you want to read it, I won't tell you how it ends. You die. I was sitting in a Washington Square hotel, not the Washington Square Hotel. I was listening to a Bob Seger CD. Someone gave me as a joke, but it's no joke, I like it. Something about today makes me forget all the small dance floor dancing, makes me forget all the co-workers groping till we got tonight. Yeah, but we've also got families. Front desk, I'm tired of talking to you. How does room service get confused between a clubhouse and a common bowl of oatmeal? Listening to the music, I think I understand what a young, beardless Robert Seger must have lived through. All the cushionless couches at all the sides of the road couldn't be as sad as me. All the fills in the phone book, all the fish in the sea couldn't keep me company tonight. I am alone. I was lying on a pile of coats, my face painted happy birthday. It was a conceptual joke. It was nobody's birthday. I was lying on a pile of coats. I was leaving a party early. It didn't work too good because the party was at my house. Some silhouette claimed she was my wife. Asked me exactly what was my latest plan for my downstairs 40 friends who sat staring at their thumbs. Who did I think I am? Well, ma'am, I am Bob Seger. Lying on these coats, I am Bob Seger. This is my album cover shot. Yeah, bring my friends up and let them see what I've accomplished with my life. I am Bob, road dog. Boston's coming through the fog. The roadies can ride with the rest of us hogs. And I don't know if you did it here, but they did it in Toronto. And at 7 every night, we would take a pot and a spoon and go out on our step and bang it for 5 minutes. Me and my neighbors united in the clang. I'm doing something for the first responders. I'm banging a pot with a spoon. For some reason, I don't know who thought of it, probably Europe or New York, for fuck's sakes, but here I am. And we live very near a hospital, and it was very emotional. The ambulances would go by, and they would flash lights at us, and some nights they even got out and saluted us. It was really beautiful, but it was so weird. Like, the first responders are saluting us. It's like the Beatles cheering for teenage girls. And more personally, perhaps, if you have a friend who's doing a theater workshop on Zoom, have your excuses ready. And I came up with a doozy. So one night, my friend's theater workshop started, and I had my laptop on my lap, for which it is named. And it started with all these actors saying all these words and they're blaring in their Zoom boxes. So obviously I fell right asleep. And I woke up maybe 6 hours later. Now, I have never read the book, the Kafka book, where a man wakes up to find out he's turned into a giant cockroach, but I thought of it because I was one. I was a man unable to move my limbs or legs or even barely have any thoughts. I was trapped in a mental cocoon. I tried to lick my way out, but nothing worked. I didn't even know what was going on. I couldn't speak. Who was I? Was I even Bruce McCulloch? Was I 18 at the bad end of a bar fight? Had I died having a heart attack, pitching a workplace comedy to ABC? Was I traveling through the universe? Had I died? Would I soon be communing with my failed jokes? The only thing that gave me any comfort is I know for a fact I will never make another Visa payment. Yeah, feels good. It took me 6 hours to wake my sleeping wife. She likes the Ambien. And finally say, I'm trapped. She thought I was talking about her marriage. This time I wasn't. We quickly put it together that I had had a stroke. And yeah, so she, and I wondered aloud, like, would one half of my face be enough to do a monologue in the upcoming Kith reboot? And I was so happy for myself that I was already writing a scene, what an A-type, called The Stroke Folk. Like a sitcom where everybody's kind of, but they're still pretty happy. And Brian wandered back to many years ago in LA when my doctor, this is true, asked me about my end-of-life protocols. And I said, if I die, my wife can't remarry for 2 weeks. And he laughed and wrote it down. Not so fucking funny now, is it, Bruce? Well, she had the hospital on the phone, and I guess the stroke experts were there, and one of them said, try to imagine an object and see if you can say its name out loud. So, of course, I said, a collapsing orange. They thought my brain was broken. See, folks, I'm a creative guy. I'm not just going to go bed, chair. I was asked for an image, and I thought a collapsing orange was a beautiful image. But apparently not. I tried to hum the Daves I know, but nothing came out. The only came out was collapse, orange, calamity, orange. I realized I was emitting a narrative that Frank Zappa could not comprehend. And okay, so we live on the top of the house. And when you buy a house, you don't tend to ask the real estate agent, hey, can a gurney fit up those stairs? Well, it turns out it can't. So when the ambulance arrived, the burliest one had to carry me down, picking me back down my stairs, and my feet knocked off every fucking picture of my family that I have on the wall for some reason. And it was dawn now as he carried me out, and my pot-banging neighbors stood around potless, watching as their weird little neighbor was carried out. And to add detail to it, my wife had put on her house coat on me and puffed on her puffy slippers on my feet as well. So they got the treat of me being carried out in invalid drag. I stared at the man in the kilt. We had a certain kinship. And this next part is funny, and I knew it was funny even though I was clearly going to die. Once they put me on a stretcher and they tried to put it into the ambulance, it wouldn't go, it wouldn't click in. They just kept banging my head over and over and over again. Collapsing orange, collapsing orange. Why does this fucker just carry me? I can see the H from here. And I thought, oh my God, this is all I ever wanted, was to die with a big laugh. I'm gonna die in the middle of a Simpsons episode. That's all I want. I don't want wisdom and my family around me for last little tidbits of things. Did you bury the money somewhere? No, I drank it away. Okay, all I want to do is die in a big, juicy laugh. And not a word of a lie. when I tell you that a second ambulance had to be called and drove us the 300 feet to the hospital. Now, these were the COVID days, so I lay outside without a room, you know, masked and alone. And not a word of a lie, as one of the people working there turned to his friend and said, "Is that a kid in the hall?" In the hall. Fuck. You know, they never recognize you when you're saving a baby from a burning building, which I often do. You know, they always get you when you're drunk out of your fucking mind at KFC 2 minutes before it closes, getting 9 pieces for just you. And they're like, "Hey, he's one of the Daves you know." Well, fuck off, Dave. How about a thigh, you fucker? I'm crushing your head. I don't fucking understand that one. And he came up and he said, "I hate to do this, but can I have an autograph?" Yeah, and I just stared at him. My words and my limbs would not work. He just thought I was an asshole. And apparently a few people have that story. And so we sat there, and because there was no room, the doctors started to assess me right then and there. And they started to wonder, perhaps maybe I hadn't had a stroke after all. They asked me if I had ingested anything. And my mind wandered back to a cute little edible. See, folks, I don't like edibles. I don't know much about them, but I drink them some nights because they're not 4 giant gins. It's true. And of course, the name, I later realized, of this edible was not, you know, warm bath or angel's kiss. It was called train wreck. And I, in fact, was one. And come with me even further. It wasn't an edible at all. It was a cartridge from a big dope pen. Yeah, exactly, the kind that should last Cheech and Chong for 10 years. Oh my God, that package should come with a warning. If you eat all of this for some reason, Bruce, not 1, but 2 ambulances will need to be called. So, back in the hospital, they wouldn't let me leave until I could walk or talk. Take your pick, one's good. So every hour they try me out. Nope, back on the fucking gurney, asshole. Think about that autograph, you little prick. And then, eventually, the phone that was in my pink pocket started blowing up. It was my friend and then her girlfriend. They were really upset that I hadn't said anything about Diane's Zoom workshop. Yeah, and I was so happy to have the greatest excuse of my adult life. I tapped out. Play so good, jealousy made me go to hospital. No notes. And I lied there. And just to pass the time, I started imagining a collapsing orange. You know, and I thought if I sent all my love to it, all my kindness, and all my goodness to it, that I could keep that collapsed orange whole. And then I thought, isn't that all we've been doing through fucking COVID? And of course, I was still really high. And I thought to myself, if I ever get out of here, and I'm going to write a monologue called The Collapsing Orange, and perform it in a city way better than Worcester. And well, here we are. It was dusk by the time I was released. My wife picked me up in our Mazda 6. Don't boast about your wealth, Bruce. And drove us the 300 feet home. It was a time that, of course, coincided with all my neighbors and my children being out with their pots and their spoons. And they saw our $3,000 car pull up. And as my wife slid open the door, they looked and they saw me. And they saluted me. Weird man. Strange neighbor. Train wreck survivor. And I felt my newly mobile face started spitting tears. And I thought, maybe it isn't tears, maybe it's all the love I've ever been given in my life. And the love I have for the world finally leaving my body. and I felt my cynicism and my sarcasm fade away. And I thought, all of this is so beautiful. Even the day you swallow a golf ball-sized piece of dope for some fucking reason is a gift. And I thought, oh my God, here was my daughter in the street having just low-grade depression. And my son was in the street and not in a gang. I thought, all of this is beautiful. And I looked up at my friend in the kilt, and I looked over his shoulder into his house. And then I stopped dead, because inside on his wall were 3 framed words. You know what they were. Live, love, laugh. And I thought, fuck, those people are right too. I do want to live. I do want to love. I do want to laugh. And I stared at my outstretched feet. And I felt, you know what I felt. Hashtag blessed. Take a picture. Click.